Welcome to the InGeneral podcast. In this episode, we will finally be sharing our thoughts on Fallen Kingdom. But before that, I want to highlight that this year really has become the year for Jurassic fans. Not only did Jurassic Park 5 hit cinemas, we have, and we still are, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the movie that started this franchise, the movie that captured our minds all that time ago. Universal hosted an incredible event at the Universal Studios Hollywood Park in May, where hundreds, potentially even thousands of fans got together to celebrate this movie. The park was opened at night, especially for the event. Fans wore costumes, they took part in trivia and dance contests, and we took photos with Jeeps from the Jurassic Park motor pool. Panels were also hosted by Colin Trevorrow, featuring talent and crew from the movies, including the wonderful Laura Dern and the hilariously engaging Jeff Goldblum. It was a lot of fun, and you can read the summary and more about it on our website. Also this year, Frontier Developments released Jurassic World Evolution, a multi-platform video game where you can build your own Jurassic World. The game is a lot of fun. It's visually stunning. It's really worth picking up. There's a lot more to discuss, and we'll get into all of that. But now I'd like to introduce our guests this evening, Ryan and Alex. It's been a long time. How are you guys?
Heyo.
Hey.
That's how I'm doing.
I guess that's how we're all doing. Fallen Kingdom. Let's talk to it.
Let's talk to it?
Let's talk about it. So I saw it for the fifth time, I think, last night. Less than I would have expected, but that was my fifth screening. How many times have you guys seen Fallen Kingdom?
I think maybe like 8.
Whoa.
That's intense.
Yeah. Not that many. 3 for me.
3 times. You gonna go again, or are you kind of done?
After the third one, I'm done. I'm good.
Wait for
now.
Blu-ray, right?
Yeah. Wait for HD.
I mean, there's a lot to discuss about Fallen Kingdom, but I mean, my seriously positive takeaway from this movie is I think it's the most attractive, it's the most visually pleasing Jurassic movie.
I would agree with that, for sure.
Yeah, that seems to be the takeaway. I don't think there's any argument from anybody about the looks of the film. Beautifully shot. I mean, Oscar for dude, hands down. Best cinematography.
And there are, and there's a handful of shots and sequences that really throw back to the original movies. Especially, I even noticed when Maisie, in the corridor, when they reveal all about Maisie being a clone. Spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and you're listening to this, what are you doing? Get out. Go see the movie.
I went to the bathroom
Maisie's
during that part.
That scene is interesting, but when the Indoraptor takes out the 2 guards, Mills runs away, and Maisie's against the wall, and she's breathing, and the shot's slowly moving towards her, just like Tim in Jurassic Park. It's the same shot.
See, that's a lot more subtle than some of the other shot callbacks. If anything,
Agreed.
I mean, it's great and all, but maybe there's too many.
Yeah.
Because you've got.
Do you feel like, compared to Jurassic World, do you feel like they were too on the nose?
Well, I think, there might even be more than Jurassic World. You've got stuff like the shot of Maisie and the dumbwaiter, the brachiosaur, the shot of them on the rocks, the other brachiosaur shot. There's loads. There's a lot.
Yeah. I think on this viewing, I was kind of peeved by, as after seeing the concept art that was released a few days ago, which you can find on JurassicOutpost.com. I think the concept art of the Jeep, the Explorer. I mean, in the movie, it is. I mean, it's the Jurassic Park Jeep, but it's in the middle of unidentifiable forest. It's not anywhere specific. Whereas in the concept art, it's in the same position where it landed 25 years ago, and you can see the part of the paddock, the T-Rex paddock, so you know whereabouts they are. It's kind of... It just doesn't look like that in the movie.
It's a weird thing, because, from my understanding, it was written as more of a reveal, as a classic Jurassic thing, very specifically saying, we see a familiar-looking tree and this mammoth wall, and then, the Explorer comes into view. And it's supposed to be more of, a nest for Blue, isn't it? You look at the concept art, and there's hundreds of dead dinosaurs, littered around. Whereas in the film, you don't see that except for when the lava's like rolling forward. There's, I don't know what it is, but like a skull of some description, and that
Looks
always
like an ankylosaurus or something.
it really confused me that it was there, because it was kind of like, was that there a minute ago? What is this? Is there some relevance? Was this like a reference to Jurassic Park? Am I missing? Did something die in here or what?
It's weird. There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of from set photos we know from Real News Hawaii when they were filming there, and from all the stuff in London, we know there's a lot that isn't on the screen. So there was a lot that was cut. Whether or not those were important scenes, I mean, they obviously made the movie a little longer. If we talk about what Daniela Pineda said about the movie being a whole 30 minutes longer, that wasn't just cutting before and after scenes. That seems like big chunks of the movie were taken out.
Yeah, especially with the Stegosaurus scene. There was the one that was, I mean, because Jack, I don't know if it was the skeleton was a Stegosaurus or not. I feel like it was. I heard that it was like a shit.
It was a dinosaur.
The big red pompadour, Elvis. Not a parasaur, but I don't know what it was. Either way, they shot an animatronic scene with the Stegosaurus dead. The full-on animatronic with like.
It looked great, didn't it, with the split plates and everything?
Yeah, like
is
the
that
plates.
The one you want about?
Yeah, and like the plates were kind of going lopsided in different directions, and Owen kind of walks by it, which is kind of a cool, idea to think about. Like, whoa, first, how did Blue took down a Stegosaurus, but then how did Blue get it to the nest, or did it just stumble across Blue's nest?
I mean, I kind of looked at it more as like something from the volcano took down the Stegosaur, like a flying rock or something. I don't know.
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, so like it just
I thought
died.
there was like maybe some like charredness to it, but maybe I'm imagining that.
Yeah, but that would have been cool to see, like just little elements. Like I feel like there were just parts that they took out because they felt it wasn't relevant. I would have loved to have seen it.
I think that's one of the biggest things maybe we all feel, and that people online feel, is that it blitzes through the stuff on the island way too quickly. I mean, I think I timed it the other day, and they're only on the island for about 20 minutes, and then it's done.
And they round up all the dinosaurs. We know they filmed them because a couple of the extras have talked about it. So when Wheatley says, we've already got a load at the East Dock, I mean, why weren't we seeing that? Especially if they're introducing new species in this movie. It would have been great if we could have seen that roundup.
I saw a random featurette in a really low quality the other day on, I think it was on Twitter or it might have been Instagram, and there was a line that Wheatley had that's not in the film, where he turns to Owen and says, "Oh, your raptor's already taken out 2 of my boys trying to capture it," or something like that. That fully implies they'd been on the island longer than. But it's not in the film, so.
That's interesting because that completely contradicts the way it happens in the movie.
I kind of feel like they've been there a little while, and like time is like running out. Like they know they need Blue because of all this shit with the Indoraptor.
Also, do you think it's hinted that they captured those dinosaurs?
Yeah,
days
I
before?
think so at least. I mean, it's really hard to tell because the film, the way time plays out is really confusing. They capture that T-Rex in like fucking record time. It basically kicks the gyrosphere and then walks straight into a cage and is flown at the boat or something.
Yeah,
the T-Rex capture.
Wasn't it kind of moving in the direction of the cliff face anyway?
Yeah, yes.
It's like, how did it get... Okay. Whatever. I'll leave it. But yeah, so 5th time last night watching it. I enjoy the movie for very specific things. One of them being the cinematography and all the callbacks. The intro scene, the opening sequence. That's fantastic. But yeah, unfortunately, it's both fantastic and really, really dumb, in my opinion.
That's pretty fair.
And it's really difficult to talk about because I want to stay positive, and it looks so good, and it's Bayona, right? So you think it's gonna kind of follow the same as his other movies, which are all relatively well paced, relatively slow movies, but it just completely doesn't. It, other than the opening scene, keeps itself moving at a ridiculously fast pace.
Yeah, no, it seems to be at least kind of like we all kind of differ in how we see the film, but I think there is just like an overall consensus that if you guys get to watch that, we were showing it the other day. A couple of my friends sent it to me, but the two guys review of Fallen Kingdom in the garage.
Oh, I think I put that in the group.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called.
What is it
but
called?
Those two guys.
Yeah, those two guys. They kind of nail it on the head in terms of like what Fallen Kingdom is in terms of just style, tone, everything kind of grouped together and clashed into what is the movie. It just, we're definitely separating ourselves from the franchise. It's purposefully doing that. At least this isn't your dad's JP. And I can say that because I'm a dad and it was my JP. But it's got this, it's definitely holding true to what Crichton's underlying elements of the original novels were, which was, and what Malcolm said in the movie, like genetic power is the most awesome creation man has ever made. And they're wielding it like a kid who's found his dad's gun. So it's just the mistakes that we continue to make with genetic power in each movie. The movie is essentially, yes, kind of about dinosaurs. That's what the first film is about. But there is like the underlying tone of genetic power. The thing with Fallen Kingdom is it's taking that tone and making it into a literal sense, and it's keeping the dinosaurs within the film for fan service, it feels like now. And it's just kind of recreating and hashing shots and giving us, yes, new species that we want to see. But like, there's so much
it's not doing it that much justice.
Yeah, it's just I'm still very interested. I mean, the Maisie thing like didn't really throw me off in terms of. I mean, that's more believable, obviously, than like a dinosaur. But like, that's essentially where we are. Where this can take. Genetic power can make hybrids, yes, and you can do all kinds of things with species. But like, you can recreate life, and I'm very interested to see where Jurassic World 3 goes. But I love what I'm seeing in Fallen Kingdom, but it's just in my heart. Jurassic World and where it's gone since the first Jurassic World, it's so disjointed from what I know of the Jurassic franchise to be. That's all I can really say about it.
I noticed on the fifth viewing that it really is scene after scene with dinosaurs. There really isn't much. It didn't seem like there's much screen time without a dinosaur. In that sense, I feel like it kind of overdid it. And I know it wanted to go crazy, especially to introduce all these new species. But I noticed the baryonyx scene. I really liked that scene to begin with. I really liked how that played out. But the more I think about it, they're kind of just introducing a baryonyx for the first time on screen, and then they point that out in the interview. Claire's going to the island to protect and save the dinosaurs. As soon as one's coming to attack her, she makes sure that shit can't get out, and it's like kind of contradicting the whole reason she's there.
Another
just a quick one on the baryonyx as well. As it comes through, we've discussed this before, it gets hit with lava in the head. Right? Lava. Okay.
Lava.
Yeah? Hottest substance on Earth. Right? Lava.
Other than you.
That would... Oh, stop. Stop it. That would go straight through its flesh. That would go straight through its skull.
It went through the gyrosphere.
Through
water.
Even then, yeah, exactly. It's still
so
like burning away.
It would have burnt... I mean, it was a big load that hit this baryonyx. It would have gone straight through to the brain and killed this baryonyx in its tracks. but the Baryonyx just continues trying to get Franklin, and there's no logic to it.
I don't like its behaviour. Like, why is it not like... where's the self-preservation instinct in that whole scene? They're not behaving like animals anymore. They're such villains. And even the new designs of the dinosaurs, they look evil. Like, why can't you just make it look like an animal? Why has it got to be such a villain all the time?
That's it. And that comes back to the whole thing during development hell for Jurassic Park 4. Every time we see a concept from it, it's a more aggressive version of the dinosaur. And you got to ask, who's asking for that more aggressive T-Rex? It's like, I'm happy with the way T-Rex was, because it was almost like a nature documentary. You get that realism, you get that it's protecting itself. You know, when the two T-Rexes, the mother and the father, are surrounding the trailers in the Lost World, and Sarah goes, "This isn't hunting behavior, you know, they came for their infant." It's like, that is what Jurassic Park is about.
Yeah,
it's just a shame. The Baryonyx didn't have that. For me.
Yeah.
As cool as the scene as it was. Very cool location as well. I've always wanted to see some of the underground tunnels of Nublar. Detailed in the book. They're on maps. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's... it really is so hard, you guys, to talk about the film, because there really were, like, aspects of, like, more than Jurassic World, aspects of this film that I loved. But the story... is just like, I want to like pick it apart and be like, yes, let's take that, and no, let's throw that out, and yes, and I would even keep the Maisie as a clone part, like yeah, let's keep that in, because that's like I want to see where Maisie goes in Jurassic World 3, and like how, I mean, she's obviously a vital. If they just like throw her out and she's not in Jurassic World 3, it's like, like we just made a clone,
they're alive,
like that's a
like
thing,
me.
like me, like. Oh my gosh, you did not do a service to Maisie, because she could have been... Like, she now has a connection, like a real connection with these animals.
I really like the whole thing with her. Like, I think it's a really cool addition to the franchise, because it's a very good point that this technology has existed for the last 25 years, and all anyone has used it for is cloning dinosaurs for a theme park. That seems kind of weird.
Right.
So eventually, of course, you know, it's going to come out of the box, like Malcolm says. But the whole thing about her being a clone doesn't really bear any weight on the direction of this film. You could take it out and the events would still play out almost identically. I mean, am I wrong?
No.
Completely right. It's a big thing for them to set up, and it doesn't affect the story.
I mean,
it's just there. And also, what I really didn't like was the Mills scene where he says, "What do you think Maisie is?" Like, I really didn't need the clarification. So I kind of picked that one up with all the hints that you've been doing through the movie.
It's kind of weird, because I mean, as we like all know, it was really obvious from the trailers that wasn't originally in the film. You know, in I can't think which trailer it was. We see that one guy in the hallway, and they're like, "You gotta get us out of here," and then that guy gets absolutely mullered. And obviously they reshot it.
And that whole line about "You've got to get us out of here," that
what does it mean?
I don't see how that fits with the story we received as well. That's so interesting, because at that point they're trying to get away from those guys. So that's really interesting. But yeah, it seems like they reshot. Well, they reshot that scene, right? They must have added that in.
So, I mean, I like the way Maisie was revealed up to that point. It's very subtle. Lockwood has all these little lines that you don't notice the first time you view it. You go back and you're like, "Oh shit, son."
She's a mirror image, all that kind of stuff.
And even the photo album thing. I mean, that's pretty cool, really. That's, you know, I like that. That's fine with me.
Yeah. And I loved his model of Jurassic Park in his bedroom.
It's such a shame that it doesn't get more screen time, because it's a lot bigger than you realise. There are little Jeeps on it, as well as the Explorers. The little raptor paddock from JP is off to the side. But yeah, they completely...
Do we have any? Is there any photos of that?
I mean, there might be. We can hope that, you know, eventually they'll release tons of... I mean, hopefully somebody shot an interview in front of it. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be cool, like Spielberg or someone. But it is interesting. Bayona confirmed in an interview, I think it was Collider, where he said there's not going to be any deleted scenes on the Blu-ray. Yeah. And I really, really am shocked by that.
I think it's because... To my knowledge, there's only a couple long scenes that were cut from the film. Other than that, it's a lot of trimming. Like, it seems like almost every scene lost some weight. And when you watch the trailers and the featurettes and stuff and compare it to the film, you notice it. The diner scene where half of Owen's dialogue is missing. In the bunker, Franklin doesn't fix that light bulb anymore. Every scene seems to have a little bit taken out of it, and it just adds up to so much stuff. But
it would be lovely to receive a director's cut, because I feel like it just doesn't cut the same way a Bayona movie has in the past. It doesn't linger at all. It doesn't give any chance of like when Wheatley's says, "Let's move out," after they capture Blue and shoot Owen. He doesn't even finish his line before we've cut away.
The thing is, I'm convinced that a lot of the scenes, the dialogue has been like cut around. That Wheatley scene where he's like, fuck, what does he say? He's like, when he's talking to Zia, their lines don't match up. It feels like they've been cut together wrong. And there was a scene before that, I think, with Claire and Maisie. I felt exactly the same. It's so weird. It really like feels like someone really mashed this up in the edit.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I wanted to see a lot of scenes just kind of stretched out. Like, you could have done like 3 more seconds of film time or 5 more seconds. And I feel like that's what made the first 5 minutes so damn good. And I mean, we can't praise the opening enough. Like, it's hands down the best opening in the franchise. But even now, like, it's what he did with like the sound. It's what he did with like using simple elements that give you a sense of what, you know, is happening, but without really showing you or really telling you. Like, and that's suspense, man. Like, that's using your imagination to kind of see what's on screen, but then be like, oh, you know, like that's what builds up the anticipation within yourself. And there were just a lot of scenes that like didn't quite give me enough of like what I want. And it's like the first 5 minutes was something completely different of the entire film in itself. From that point to leaving the island was a classic. Every JP story, like, here's the situation, why we need to go back, let's round up who we need to get, now we're on the island, shit, now we need to get off the island, that'll happen in 20 minutes. And then it was a completely different, dark, gothic Bayona film. And so that's why it's just like, my mind, when I think about it, it's like, I can't, like, one day it's going to be like, I tell you, I'm giving it like a 4 out of 10 because the story is like throwing me way off, and then the next I'm going to tell you like it's a 7 out of 10 because of the way that it just looked and the, you know, the feels that I got when I saw certain parts.
When it's good, like, it's really good, but when it's bad, it's really dumb. Yeah.
And I noticed that I think I noticed it more and more the more you watch it. Second viewing was better for me than the first viewing, but the more I watch it, the more I notice the inconsistencies and the dialogue that just seems off and weird. And I mean, I think personally it's a little biased because I'm just not really a fan of Owen and Claire. I just like, as characters, I don't like them. Do you remember when the Jurassic Park movies, the heroes in the movies were scientists and paleontologists?
Real
Do you remember
people.
when those were the heroes?
Yeah. I mean,
now it is literally a macho man, a military man, and Claire Deering. I mean, Claire. I don't know. I really didn't like her in Fallen Kingdom, I'll be honest. I thought she was the worst part. I thought Mills and Wheatley, brilliant and well played.
I really like Mills up until the first scene he has with Toby Jones, and he suddenly develops a lisp for like a whole scene for some reason. And I just don't understand. After that, it's like he's got dollar signs in his eyes, and then he just becomes this two-dimensional villain. Whereas the whole way up to that, he was a completely believable, real person. Like, I really liked him as a character, and I don't understand what changed.
Well, when he introduced himself to Claire, he plays it so well.
I love that scene. You know, he's got this like boyish
really
charm.
Plays it well. Yeah. You grow to like him, obviously. Even if he is a seedy character, you like him. Like the same way you like Ludlow. Ludlow's a motherfucker, but I love Ludlow.
I love Ludlow, yeah.
You know, this suit cost more than your education. What a prick!
Oh.
Like, he's so good.
Yeah. Wheatley, I thought was definitely the best.
He's such an enjoyable asshole, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
you couldn't
get like, well, I didn't get it as much evoked from anybody else than I did Wheatley. It's like, I mean, as soon as you get off the plane, you kind of see him, you know he's kind of a scoundrel. But the whole shooting Owen and then going, and just as soon as he blows him over, I was like, ooh, you son of a bitch. Like, that's cold.
That's good. And when I love it, the banter that he has with
Zia.
Yeah. When he's like, do we have a heartbeat? And she's like, do you?
Yeah, right?
Like, there's some really great moments, but as in that interview, that review that with the two guys, they point out so many things, like how Wheatley says something about Zia makes a comeback where she picks up the dart from his thing and then slaps his pocket, saying, you know, something along the lines of, I'm not as weak as your comment implies.
Yeah.
You know, just because, whatever. And then she just straight up calls Chris Pratt a beefcake. You know,
right.
As demoralizing as that. It doesn't quite know what message it's trying to give. In some of the scenes, I think some of the scenes are great. Some of the dialogue and some of the way the characters interact are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are.
Zia was also fantastic.
Claire's opening laugh in the bar.
Oh,
yeah, she does that.
God,
awful laugh.
Apparently, she laughs. She's really well known by the crew for laughing on set. Like I've heard rumors that the crew go as far to make like master cuts of just Bryce Dallas Howard laughing all the time, which just seems like a really weird thing to be known for.
I can't. Hopefully, it's not that kind of laugh, because that just sounded like really bad fake laughing. It's so strange.
You know what? Actually, I kind of really, I really wanted that shot of the vinyl in the record player to be in the film, because that's actually a really nice shot, the way it cuts through the air. You know, from the trailer.
It's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I wasn't in it. What I did find cool about the marketing, and obviously this was more from because it hadn't been completed yet, the visual effects, but when you remember the first piece of footage we saw where Chris Pratt runs out the forest, he run, and then some of that sequence. There's no flames. There's no burnt forest that he's running out of. It's just trees, and I found that fascinating. That in the movie you're like, oh my god, it's all on fire. Like, that was a good reveal.
Where's the fire?
Where's the fire?
Base camp, Dr. Malcolm.
So, yeah. It's an interesting movie. I couldn't give it a rating at this point, but out of 10, you guys got.
I agree with Ryan. Everything. If you ask me about the score, if you ask me about the visuals, if you ask me about the story, it would change, and that's kind of a weird thing to be able to say about a movie.
Yeah, Giacchino. I wasn't really a fan of Jurassic World, but Giacchino hit it with this one. I loved. And Alex was kind of talking to me about it. He was like, you should give it... And I'm like, nah, man. Like, And I'm like, his stuff's too whimsical. But then I I watched the movie again, and I paid closer attention to the soundtrack, and I was like, I didn't notice the Jaws theme in the opening when T-Rex is, when they're like, what is that? And or the whole scene is building up from essentially Mosasaurus chomping down the sub. You just hear, like, the dun, like... It just like builds. It's different than Jaws, but it's the same rhythm. It's the same, it's the same beat. And then as soon as T-Rex shows himself, it's like dun 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 dun. It's
really good, isn't it? I think it's
so.
Even better when you listen to it on its own, because some of the film covers up some of the best parts of the score somehow. I mean, the first time I watched the film, I came out like, oh, I didn't really enjoy the score this time around. And then the more I watched it, and the more I really listened in, I was like, actually, you know what? This is kind of new and fresh, and I like this.
I gotta give it another listen, because I definitely noticed yesterday there were really elements to the score that I loved. And even when Mills, spoilers, when Mills picks up the pillow and goes to kill Lockwood,
what?
You get that boom, 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 boom. You get those heavy drums, which are... Now, I don't know if they were actually in the movies, but they were used for a trailer, teaser, somewhere in the original Jurassic. You know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm speaking about, Alex?
I think so.
Really deep boom, 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 boom. It was used in...
It might be like The Lost World, just before... When they're back in San Diego, there's some stuff like that there.
Yes,
dun,
right.
Dun.
That's it, yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
Right before T-Rex roars and...
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Giacchino, turns out he nailed this one. I do feel. I think many people agree with that. It's a really nice score.
From the stuff that's come up online, it sounds like he spent a lot more time on this. Apparently, there are a lot more alternates recorded and stuff like that. He really went to town to try different things out, and then when they finally put the movie together, he had a lot more to work with, which is really interesting compared to Jurassic World, which Ryan's right is a lot more sort of whimsical and.
So I feel like if we talk about the Indoraptor, I think visually incredible. I love its design, and I love the gold stripe up the side. And I really feel when we first see it out of the cage after it's killed Toby Jones, and Chris Pratt is with Owen is with Claire and Maisie, and they see it, and they have to sneak around. The way its back shivers, when it's kind of adjusting, it's like a dog shaking itself. It's got this horrible rabid feel to it.
There's a really good interview with Neil Scanlon where he said the way they designed it was to make it look like there were things wrong with it, like its scales were rotting off, it was constantly shedding its skin, and that it was just like this absolute aberration that wasn't quite working. And I think that reflects on screen.
Cool.
Yeah, I think the teeth as well, the way it was, I think it was the same for the Indominus Rex or similar, but the teeth just completely come out the mouth. And
the underbite, yeah.
It's vicious. It looks like it's a great creature, and the animatronics / the visual effects both are exceptional.
Yes.
In the way it works, and I love, other than the mustache twirling, I love the scene when it plays dead. Or when it plays unconscious, it plays
the smile.
You know why that's great is because it's a slow reveal. It's a real slow death, and I really appreciate that. It scares the shit out of you because you know what's coming, but Wheatley doesn't know what's coming. But then Mill's death, in contrast, is 100% way too quick. The way that he literally just gets ripped out of frame by the T-Rex, and everything's fucking running around, and
he doesn't get a justice death.
No,
he didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
He just dies quick, and you see his leg. And then that's it. Yeah, no, you're right. He got an Eddie death.
Yeah.
Something we need to pass over
Eddie's
quickly.
is built up to, the Rexes are smashing around the Mercedes, and you're fearful. He's trying to get the fucking shot, the lid
that shot
rifle.
where Eddie's sitting there. He's sitting there, and he's like, oh, God. He looks out. Oh, it's brilliant.
It is.
Brilliant. I mean, we could talk about Lost World all day, but. I think the Indoraptor was fantastic. The design was great, and I loved the way it moved. I loved all the visuals that complemented it. When it's on the roof, the moon, the very gothic shot.
Ironically,
Bayona and Oscar for a monster movie.
My favourite part for the Indoraptor is when Chris Pratt is smashing up that lever that controls the I don't even know what it's called, the rail system. And it's the way the music does this, really wah, 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 and the Indoraptor's just staring at him through the cage. It's been moving back and forth, and they're all fucking around, and it's just waiting. It's patient because it knows it's going to get its moment, so it's just sat in there watching them, and that's so creepy.
The Indoraptor plays interestingly. It gingerly opens Maisie's window. It gingerly opens the window with its claw, and it sneaks in and goes over the bed. It doesn't touch anything. It's perfect. But then when it's chasing her in the corridor, it's smashing into walls, and it can't control itself. And I'm just like, I thought this was the smartest and most vicious predator to ever walk the earth, the smartest thing they've ever created. But it can't catch an 8-year-old girl running down the corridor.
Another thing that really gets me is that obviously the very first film establishes that velociraptors can open doors, and then we see the Indoraptor open Maisie's door, like you said. But both the cage the Indoraptor is in and the cage that Blue is in later on, they don't have locks or anything. They just have a very simple latch that you lift up, and neither of them could get out. Really? They weren't even trying.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's full of weird little things like that which really don't matter, but it's when you add them up and you just I can't suspend my disbelief anymore, but that's, again, it's like, what do you think of the Indoraptor? I thought it was awesome and really dumb in parts. It didn't really make sense. It's the whole movie is like that for me. It's both fantastic and it's both has very cringy moments.
It's not really in the film that much. I mean, it's wrapped up pretty quickly towards the end. So, the film kind of ends, and I sat there and realised, I was like, oh, this is probably all we'll ever see of the Indoraptor. The next film will be about something completely different. This was its moment, and I don't think it quite lived up to it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I had enough of the Indoraptor. I feel like it had its run. It's because I'm done with hybrids.
Yeah, for sure.
I was done after the Indominus. I thought that they should have killed it with that, because like that was like the symbolic of Blue and the T-Rex and the Mosasaurus, like all naturally going after something that is unnatural. Like you should not exist, and so we're like we're killing you, and that might be like what led Blue to the Indo and why Owen's also there. I just want to go back to what you said about creeping down the door. I thought that was one of the best scenes in the movie, how the camera shifts, how you think it's climbing up the roof, but the camera shifts and it's really climbing down at a very steep angle. And then it's practically upside down, just going, I'm going to open this window. I mean, I loved how it kind of, that perception, but I'm curious to see if Jurassic World 3 is going to bring, if it's going to be like, come full circle to, I mean, my hope is that this is all coming back to full circle JP, where like, how do we coexist with these creatures, and how do these creatures essentially evolve in the world that they're living in? So are we going to see more natural, like feathered dinosaurs, or hopefully we see them become more as animals? But like these animals were bitted off to like black market, who knows who, especially the Russian guy. Like he plans on using the Allosaur and another for like war combat, and they were essentially bidding them off for like those sort of reasons. Like the Ankylosaurus is basically a living tank, and
which we have to talk about for a sec. We have to talk about that. Okay, if you can afford an Ankylosaurus to be your tank, why wouldn't you just buy a tank? What purpose would an animal serve that probably wouldn't do what you want it to, because it's an animal, it's going to disagree, and also as soon as you shoot the underbelly of that animal, it's going to die, whereas a tank can survive, is it 3 like tank explosions around it or something to that regard? A tank's a better investment.
That's the biggest problem.
What are you actually selling these animals for?
I took away that they were trying to take one to then, because like Wu was basically saying, and the whole illusion was that this is now open world, right? Open source. So like you basically bid off this animal, and these people with money can essentially do what they want with that creature, take its DNA, maybe make more. So you have one Ankylosaurus, and now all of a sudden you're going to make a whole ranch or farm of them, and it's also a very rare creature, on the planet. So it's, and like
true.
I honestly thought it should be worth a lot more than $11 million. I was like, an Ankylosaurus, like, come on, like $50 million at least.
Yeah, the only one in the world.
And the Indo was supposed to be like 100,000, and they were only up to like 28 last I heard. So good job on that, you guys.
That is a weird one, isn't it? I think they just boost the prices a little bit. And also, I mean, it kind of goes back to what Owen was saying, what Alex was saying about the sort of greed that came across Mills when he's seeing the numbers go up, and it's like, but I think Chris brought up this point. It's like, you have to have a reason to want the money, and he's just sort of driven by money. There isn't really. How can anyone relate to that? You either have a goal in life, the reason you want money, or you're like a master plan. But he just seemed to be getting pumped because money was coming. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm sure Lockwood had much more money than that anyway. He was there to look after Lockwood's estate, as in his possessions, his everything, his business, right? Probably already rich. I didn't get the.
He's probably already doing well.
Right. I've been saying like a really similar thing for ages. Like ever since the first time I saw it, like, money is not a motivation. It's what people want to do with money that is the motivation, and it's just kind of it's so weird.
There just wasn't a clear one for Mills. But the auction scene itself was fun. While pretty much everybody's pointed out how the prices don't seem justified or the right amount. The sequence was put together so well, and I still love, while we're missing certain shots that we were revealed in the trailer or the behind the scenes stuff. When Toby Jones sneaks by and runs into the lift, and the guy's there, and he pulls the woman out, puts the code in. It's when he turns around and he goes. And does that head nod. It's just so well acted, man. He's brilliant at that, and that is prime comedy in Jurassic movies, because it's not thrown in your face. It's a character legitimately, acknowledging a situation in a comedic way. Like, Jesus Christ, we just got away from that. Whew, that was funny, wasn't it? And then, boom, kill it. Perfect death, very earned death. That one, very good.
Yeah,
that was. Fun. But yeah. I mean, that interview, somebody sent me the link to a Screen Rant article about how the more the filmmakers try and explain the kind of plot holes or the retconning that has happened between Jurassic World and Jurassic World 2, the more confusing it gets, and it kind of trailed off into talking about how the whole end sequence where you finally see dinosaurs on the mainland, and it's hinting at this is bad, Jurassic World 3 is going to have to either capture these or there's going to be more of them. The issue is the post-credits scene, spoilers, as we all know, is pteranodons arriving at Vegas, so you've got this impending... Yeah, exactly, you've got this impending, oh my god, are they going to attack the people of Vegas? This is a horrible scene. It's a good way to end a movie. But not this movie, because you've already sold dinosaurs to the Russians. You've already sold dinosaurs around the globe, so dinosaurs coming as far as Vegas, I mean, that doesn't seem so bad in the grand scheme of things. You've got dinosaurs in Russia now. You've got dinosaurs across the world. The Russia one... the Vegas ones, it's it's
kind of a weird setup as well, because obviously it starts on the top of it. It's the hotel Paris Las Vegas, I think, isn't it called? But the way the shot's set up, it's meant to make you think you're in France. So it's like, oh shit, there are pteranodons on the Eiffel Tower, and then it pans down. It's like, oh no, it's just Vegas. Never mind. I don't quite get the intent there.
And it's no different than how Jurassic World 3 ended.
Wait, what?
And they how Jurassic World 3 with the pteranodons flying away out of the cage. And Masrani in a viral website talked about how apparently easy it was for Hoskins and his team to round them up in Canada or some shit. So you have a few that are loose in Vegas in a very public I don't know and you've already shown Blue over E.T. City, which was cool, by the way, and
it was very cool.
And you literally are okay, Blue's here, I'm ready, boom, end scene, and then all the way through the credits, then you're oh wait, there's more. Pterodactyls over Vegas, just a couple 100 miles away from California. Rah! Now it's the end.
It's just not. It's not an impacting scene, and it's not.
No. And that happens with end credit scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's end credit scenes, especially in the Marvel films where they do 5 of them. There's 3 out of 5 of them don't really matter. They just throw them in there for fun.
Just fun, yeah.
But it's this has never happened in a Jurassic film, so what's it gonna be? Oh, just okay, cool.
It's kind
so
of
many
weird
people in the
well,
theater.
I think there's an interview or there's something somewhere where somebody said that it was originally part of that ending montage, and then somebody said, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we put it at the end of the film, like a little post-credit tease. But they, it's kind of weird to take things out of that last montage. There's other shots that were apparently, deleted, and I don't know.
Did you guys see the report that the mosasaur shot, which is probably my favorite shot,
stock footage?
Well, it wasn't even stock footage. Universal took it from a surfer down in Brazil or Mexico, didn't pay any licensing, took the footage, used it in the movie, and now that surfer, the guy that filmed that footage, has kicked up a fuss.
It's credited at the end. Like, I remember seeing it and thinking, "Oh, what? You guys didn't even film this?"
So maybe they fixed that one, or maybe this guy's just trying to cause a fuss to get himself famous. But it was a translated article, but I did find that funny.
Yeah.
I was like, how can a big studio kind of
Wouldn't
not even pay for that kind of
not
footage?
have been a much better post-credit though? Because the whole mosasaur escaping, like being in the ocean and killing people, has nothing to do with what we'd just seen happen. Like
Dude, it would have bookended the movie. So this Screen Rant article pointed out the opening scene is the mosa escaping. Now, Colin has said online that this happens maybe months, say 6 months after the incident at the park. So 4 years ago, or 3 years before Fallen Kingdom starts.
Oh
So
shit! You know, I didn't even think of it that
mosasaur-
way.
The mosasaur was just sort of swimming around the Pacific. Granted, the Pacific is huge. It's a big ocean, so fair enough. It could have stayed undetected for 3 years, but it chose to reveal itself at the very same time that all the other dinosaurs revealed themselves and escaped into California. It just seems really poorly thought out.
Yeah. I mean, that could have really happened, I guess, at any time. The surfer incident. It could just be like,
But then
and this
that would have
happened.
That would have changed the way the story revealed itself, because if the mosasaur had escaped and shown itself before the events of Fallen Kingdom, that would have been a talking point for the news organizations. It would have been a talking point for the courtroom. It would have been a talking point for Claire's dinosaur protection group. And it wasn't. So it's trying to tell you that it happens at the same time as those other incidents, and
That would have been actually really cool. Like hear Malcolm say something like, "You've already got one loose in the Pacific," and like
that's taken down ships and
it's like been
killing
how many
innocent
years?
people.
Like how many lives have been lost because of that? Like when are you people gonna learn? So
I guess this Screen Rant article also, I think it was Screen Rant, also pointed out something that we've discussed before, but how the whole opening scene, while I love it, I adore it, the purpose is that they're going to get DNA from the dead Indominus Rex. Sure. Okay, fair enough. So that Wu can do whatever he needs to do, Lockwood can do whatever he needs to, or Mills especially can do what he needs to do. But there's a shot at the end of Jurassic World where Wu is leaving the island and he's got his briefcase of DNA, and he just designed the Indominus Rex. That was the thing that he designed. Why would he not have the DNA with him when he left the island? Why would he have taken every species but the Indominus Rex? Why would they need to go back for it?
I think Chris said it
Are the
best
assets
in a previous
secure?
pod. he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot the Indominus. That's the only one I needed."
Yeah, it's convenience is why it's there. It's conveniently allowing us to have that scene.
Did Wu go straight from the incident to the basement of this mansion?
Ooh, no, I've got this. So, Wu actually had way more scenes. He shot there are pictures of this online. He shot scenes in DC being chased off the steps of the I've forgotten the name of the building, Capitol building, because the film sort of hints at this, that he was stripped of his, like, I don't know, a doctorate or accreditation, or I don't know, whatever you have. Like, he was shunned by the scientific community, which I think would have been something cool to see, to understand how he fell in with Mills. But then all we end up with is that little news ticker at the bottom that says former InGen scientist Henry Wu is, and then it says nothing else because it cuts to the next scene.
Oh, it doesn't even say?
No, it doesn't.
I didn't even see that. See, yeah, like, and I guess, Alex, you read the book. There's a lot of Wu interaction with Claire.
I'm about a chapter in. I'm going slow.
Oh, okay. Well, apparently that's a thing. Yeah, it would just be cool to get, because, like, you're only giving us, like, it's like you're throwing Wu in, be like, oh, he's still here, but what's his intentions? Like, what is it? Why, you asked for this. Well, yeah, but why? So.
Yeah, but why are you doing it?
His role in
this one,
Fallen Kingdom is.
It's like, and then in Fallen Kingdom, it's like, well, now it's almost like he seems like he's at a crossroads. It's like, well, I'm doing this because like you're asking me to do it, but at the same time, like, we can't release this to the world. Like, it's not perfect yet. Like, I'm designing this, and it, like, you can't auction off this animal. So it's like, okay, he's obviously, I mean, it's not like he's saying no for the betterment of mankind, but at the same time, he kind of is, because it's like, we'll make some more. So will they. Like, that's a bad thing if they make some more. So it's like,
yeah,
it's like, intentions are very unclear.
Yeah. It's like,
I think we probably all have very different opinions on this, but I think I liked Wu more in this movie than I did in Jurassic World, because it kind of felt like he was really more self-aware of that, like the world was catching up with him, like he was really beginning to get snowed under by like all this mountain of shit. But
I loved his face when in the auction. When they were starting off with like the Ankylosaur and the Junior Allosaurus, everything, and like like everybody was outbidding one another, and it shows his face, and he's just kind of like sitting there like, I'm so proud, like kind of proud of himself, like, oh, I love that people love my work. But then it's like, especially when they show the Indo and they know, they say it's not perfect yet, and he's like, I love that you love it, but it's not a thing yet. So, but then all of a sudden he starts freaking out, and then it's like, okay, what's the intent here? So, yeah. Either way,
it's it's interesting. His role in this movie was not really needed, and it came across a little strange. I mean, it just didn't. What if it didn't play well?
If ironically, it would have made a lot more sense if he wasn't in the movie. If it was just the separate entity, different geneticists and scientists, and that's why they had to go back to the park and recover this technology and this DNA, because they'd never done it before. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that would have made sense. Yeah. But obviously they're keeping him for Jurassic World 3. We know he's going to play a big role. So I guess
that whole scene where they knock him out and the guy just like, quick, get him out of here. We're going to have an action set piece. He can't be hurt. Get him out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's convenience. It's weird. Jurassic World 3, where do we think it's going to
go? Dinotopia? It's
show. Sky One,
because
back in the day.
Well, it's like there's only a handful that are released right now. So
oh no, 11 dinosaurs got out.
Yeah, like what impact is 11 going to do to the world? But it's the genetic power. Who wrapped up all of the DNA at the end? Like, was it still? It was still that team, right? Like, it was still that.
We don't know. I mean, who knows who opened that briefcase? The film's very subtle in showing who has the embryos. We see an Allosaurus on a truck, an Ankylosaurus on a plane.
It's like, where are they going exactly? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, so yeah, a lot of that will get maybe answered, or it's just we won't know. It's just like, okay, well, now they're out there. There's a few of them in Spain, and there's a few of them in Russia, and there's a few here, and so that's kind of, I don't know, but like, unless it's mass produced. Or unless, like, all of a sudden all these different genetic companies now have, obtainable DNA to make their own in a couple of years. And we obviously know that the growth rate can happen pretty fast. So, like, it could only take a year or 2 or 3 for all of a sudden there to be, like, maybe, some chaos to happen. So here's the thing I want to know, though, like, because Colin kind of alluded, and not this doesn't mean anything, but the way he worded it, saying that I think that they deserve or now have a chance to be in the third film, returning characters. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing if Laura Dern and Sam Neill come back, or do you feel like that is just laziness? You're just throwing them in there because it's like they did in Jurassic Park 3. You had Laura Dern in there for just fun, but like, what was her role other than saving everybody at the end?
I feel like it makes sense to the story. Now dinosaurs really are out in the world. They were there when this when this whole thing started, so it would make sense that somebody would require their, almost you'd call it expertise or advice or guidance on what to do. So it makes sense for Sam Neill, for Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler to return in that sense. But I was let down by Goldblum's role in this one. He played it well and he was exceptional, but really, I mean, that could have been anyone. It didn't need to be Ian Malcolm. It could have been anyone. So I just hope they're not just thrown in. I hope they're either characters supporting cast members or they're not there. I don't just want a shot of Alan Grant.
Yeah.
So Chris, I wish he was here, but Jackie, I think you maybe know more about the earlier scripts because, like, from what I heard almost a year and a half ago, when Chris was calling me up like, dude, Goldblum's back, and he had this version of the script where there was the Arcadia and the ship was massive, and Goldblum was on the ship and was like somehow sabotaging the rescue of the dinosaurs. Like, had a much larger role and a completely different story.
We never had that script. We were on a call with somebody who told us about that script, and that was the reveal of Goldblum. And yeah, so Mills' line, which I love, by the way, when he accuses Claire and Owen of being the root cause of all of this,
right?
Which is great. That was a Goldblum line in the script we read. It's obviously they kept that on as they changed the script, but there were originally 2 boats.
You mean there are 2 boats with dinosaurs on them?
There are 2 boats. All right, you stay out of it.
What? Doesn't he trust us?
Arcadia. We haven't even started. So you have the 2 boats, the Arcadia, and you have another boat, which was what? So one was a good boat, one was a second boat, but as far as I'm
one
aware,
was a
the
good boat.
then became, turns out it was bad all along. They never went to Lockwoods or California. The idea was to take them to Sauna. And yes, as far as we could tell, Goldblum had a much larger role, and there were like flashback sequences in the script that were woo, as far as I remember. So the script changed dramatically, and obviously it's going to. That's what happens during pre-production, during development of a script. But it seems like it changed drastically, and somewhere along the line they thought, let's go to California instead, and let's go to Lockwood, let's introduce this character, which, again, I love, by the way. Lockwood is a really well-played character. Very, very cool. And I almost... didn't you say, Alex, that in one of the drafts, or in one of the scripts, he doesn't get suffocated by a pillow, which doesn't Mills poison him?
I don't know about that. I can't say I've ever read that.
Where did I read that? I read either on Twitter or in a Facebook group somewhere. But basically, apparently, Mills put something in his IV drip. So, which is kind of better than suffocating him with a pillow.
I mean, that whole scene is it's the first human killing another character on screen of the franchise, and that was actually quite a tough pill to swallow, really, wasn't it? I don't think anyone was expecting that.
Was it? Yeah.
I mean, unless you count Nick Van Owen sabotaging that whole thing and people dying. But
I always get the novels because I think of Dodgson, especially in the Lost World Dodgson, where he's just an animal.
Well, doesn't he shove someone out from under a truck or something and they die or something like that in the Lost World?
He pushes Sarah off the boat when they're in the stormy shores, in the rocky cliffs of the island, intending to kill her. He's an ass.
Yeah, he's a proper villain.
Yeah,
for sure. It'd be interesting if Dodgson returned, but I feel like at this point they would have introduced it by now as a competing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird
or
that
Biosin
have never come back. Yeah, they're the kind of the flashpoint of this whole franchise. If they hadn't done what they did, it would be a vastly different world, surely. But
Jurassic Park would have succeeded. That's a weird thought. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
But Biosin?
Yeah.
How would it have succeeded?
No, the park would have succeeded if Biosin hadn't been a thing. If they hadn't got Nedry to do what he did.
Oh, right, yeah.
The original park would have succeeded. That would be a really interesting, albeit boring film.
Okay, we like this park.
I feel like
you can open it. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, but then 20, 5 years later, all of a sudden a volcano goes off, and bye-bye Jurassic Park. So.
Ooh, controversial.
Yeah, very. Very. So
But
Jurassic
hey.
World 3, it's going to be interesting, and we know it's going to focus on Owen, Claire, and Maisie, unless they completely rewrite it and there's no Maisie. Do you think Zia or Franklin are going to return?
Maybe. I don't dislike either of their characters. I actually quite enjoyed Zia. I mean, Franklin felt like it really could have just been Lowry, and there was no need to introduce a whole new character. But
Wasn't it supposed to be
Why
Lowry?
would they have...
I've heard that, but I don't know.
It's interesting that they would bring Franklin to the island when he really did not want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was. He didn't want to go. Why would he go?
That's-
I don't get
A lot
that.
of
Find
the-
another tech guy.
The viral marketing tries to make it clear that he worked at Jurassic World and was like an IT technician there at the park. And then you watch the movie and you're like, you've never been to this island before, you little liar. Oh, but I tell you, I really like what Zia says on the phone when she's like, networking and all that shit. And she's like, not everyone can afford to spend their life savings on... I can't think what she said. Was it flights or tickets or whatever? And that's a really cool thought, that there are still people in the world that haven't seen dinosaurs.
Yeah, because they couldn't. They missed the coupon day.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10,000 a day, 15,000 a day, and people will pay it.
People pay it.
And then there's the
merchandise.
merchandise,
No,
which I
personally-
personally.
Donald.
Donald.
Fuck off.
This park was not meant to cater for the super rich. Back around. Great movie, excellent. So I watched Jurassic Park and The Lost World in 4K. Mwah.
Those who
Lovely.
can't see
Beautiful.
right now, Jack's making like an OK symbol with his hands.
Yeah. For those not
Looks
streaming
good.
into our live stream video cast,
Looks good. Looks real good.
it looks exceptional. So you
That's
know when
good.
we first saw the screenshot when we were in LA, Alex, or we weren't. We were in
Cambridge.
chlorine pool. No. Oh, were we? No.
Wait.
I thought we were in the chlorine pool.
Oh, we might have been. It might have been that night. Yeah.
In where the hell was that?
Bakersfield.
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 Yeah, Bakersfield. I swear we saw some screenshots
Yeah,
there
the
because you,
roach
Chris,
pool.
and I were discussing it. Yeah. Chlorine pool.
Yeah.
But it looked really desaturated and
Yeah.
weird, right? And it's because the HDR wasn't enabled on those screenshots. So when you watch the movie on the 4K player,
Okay.
you the HDR comes in. It's the most attractive version of the movie you could get. It really is as sharp as can be. It's not like exceptional 4K.
I think.
But if you're gonna stick on the movie and have a watch the 4K one. It's the best you're gonna get, and the color grade, it's exceptional. It's as close to the original as I think they could have made it.
Jurassic
Nice.
Park's quite a grainy film. You watch like the first Blu-ray or even the original DVD, it's noisy. So I think on all these, the 3D cut they did, whenever that was, and I assume on this as well, they've done a lot of DNR to take that out. And sometimes you lose a bit of the detail, which is a shame. But I understand why they had to do it. It's just one.
I didn't witness that
No.
detail loss. No, and as I sent you a screen, I was watching on I think a 50 or a 55-inch TV.
I was just watching on my
So
phone. It looked
nothing-
great.
Yeah, nothing exceptional, but a nice
Yeah.
big monitor that you would have in your living room kind of thing. And I didn't notice any imperfections or any
Imperfections in the skin.
weak shots, imperfections of the skin.
Imperfections of the skin.
Alan, you seeing this? No, it looked really good. And The Lost World, a really interesting point for those who kind of are into cinematography out there. So Kaminsky lit the scene where Malcolm goes to visits Hammond in his mansion. You remember that scene? All the white windows are fully overexposed. They're bleeding out, and the room has this really, really nice glow to it. So everything is dark inside the room, but everything is glowing.
Very ethereal.
In-
Ethereal.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's completely overblown highlights. Very nice. But in the 4K release, they are pulled significantly back. There is so much more depth to the color and to the highlights in that it's not very bright. It's really interesting.
Is it
you can see
better,
so much
or-
more inside Hammond's room. It's
It's different.
It's the same exact scene, obviously. It just is a completely different way of viewing it. That was the one scene that really stood out to me as, wow, I can suddenly see so much of this room. But the 4K of Lost World is really great as well. And again, it just, I tweeted about it. It just reaffirms that really is
The
the
real
best
question
sequel,
is,
in my
what people I
opinion.
think really want to know is, how did Jurassic Park 3 look in 4K?
And that's the one I haven't watched yet. I really want to see that one in 4K because it was the last Jurassic movie to be shot. No, that's incorrect. But it was the last. It was shot on film.
It was, yeah.
It was shot on 35mm. So it's going to look great in 4K as far as I'm concerned. And I think those animatronics are going to look really, really nice in 4K. I'm excited for that.
I think I can remember when I first got like an HD TV and I was watching something one Christmas. There was like a mashup of loads of clips from different films. There's an advert for Sky Movies or something. And there was a shot of Alan Grant against that fence in JP3 just before he says like run. And it gets right up close to his face, and it looked so good in HD. You could see every pore on Sam Neill's face. And when I think of HD and like good quality, that's always what I think of.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That one shot.
One shot.
No, it's an exceptional set, and if you get a chance to pick it up, I would try and watch those movies in 4K.
Cool.
It's the same movie, but it's the best quality you're gonna get, obviously.
I need to get a 4K
it's a lot
TV.
of fun. Yeah. So the only reason I have one is because somebody in my family ordered one. Amazon messed up.
Woo!
It didn't come, so they sent another one, and then both came. And then they didn't want the other one back because it would have cost too much to send it back. So they said keep it.
Ah, wow.
So I ended up with a 4K TV, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm gonna get Jurassic Park 4K. I'm gonna buy a 4K Blu-ray player because the PS4 doesn't play 4K. What's that?
The PS4 Pro does, right?
No,
Or no,
it
it
plays
only
4K games.
That's right. That's lame. Because I have the Pro.
wow.
I forgot
You
about
know, be careful with your PS4 Pro. The Xbox plays the new Xbox plays 4K, but it's expensive compared to the Blu-ray to a 4K Blu-ray player. So you might as well just get a 4K Blu-ray player. But yeah, it really is a great pack. You guys been playing Jurassic World Evolution?
Of course.
that. Yep.
Favorite dinosaur that you've bred so far?
You know, I want to say the Parasaur because it looks really good, but it's a pain in the ass, so I don't want to say that.
No, yeah, it always wants to break out. I love my brachiosaurs. They're so gentle.
Agreed.
Do you
Tender
guys
lovers.
lit your... I mean, a little trade secret. I don't go online and try to, like, find, anything, tips and tricks. But, so it might be out there. This might be a known thing. But I'll just let the brachiosaurs and some of the sauropods just roam free amongst the people. So they're not in enclosures. Like I'll leave a feeding bin like next to the hotel or next to the innovation center and leave like kind of like a little park next to where they can hang out, but they're in the open.
Okay.
And it works, guys. Like you don't get a notification that shows like they're not a danger to anybody because they're peaceful.
Yeah.
And people are walking normal on the sidewalks, but then like right when they get next to them, they're like and then they go back to normal. So it works.
That's Dinotopia right there.
Yeah, you can have some species, and every now and again you'll get a little bing that shows they're a danger, and it lasts for like 3 seconds, and it's because one trapped a tourist next to a tree. That's the weirdest thing. Is I'm like, how did you end up in my pen? How'd you end up in here? Because
today-
I made this, and all of a sudden there's a danger notification, and it's because 3 morons are running around in my Spinosaurus paddock, and I don't know how they got in there. They deserve to die.
Today, I had something broke out, and literally as the fence came down, about 50 people ran through the hole into the paddock, and I was like, what are you doing? The guys are going to repair this, and then you're going to be stuck in there, and I can't get you out.
Yeah, you can't
That's weird.
life flight
I've never encountered
anybody
that.
out. Really?
No, yeah.
Oh man.
But did you guys
They-
unlock the classic Jeep?
Yes, and that was
Yeah.
a lot harder than I thought it would be. must
Yeah,
have spent
so
a
I
whole
watched a
day.
few tutorials on it. I watched Best in Slot show me how to do it. I was like, dude, you gotta give me more detail, man. I can't do this. It's so worth unlocking though. That driving that Jeep around the park is everything I wanted. in a
Oh
game.
yeah, it looks so good. And the Costa Rica music just makes it even better.
Yeah.
Oh my
Driving
gosh.
into your brachiosaur paddock and just low down camera, Jeep looking up at the brachiosaurus. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that song that they play that is
Las
from the
Gavi-
Costa Rica scene. I was like, that is such a perfect touch to this game, because especially when you go to Jeep mode and you can really hear it.
Yeah.
And like, It's so perfect. It's that song.
The sound design in this game is actually really, really great. I like when you go to like the control room view and you can hear like computers and people around you talking and stuff like that. Or you go any of the other screens. There's always, you go to the dig sites and you can hear like people chipping away and things like that. It's really cool.
Agreed. Sound design on this game is amazing, and I think it's one of those things you have to play it slow. It's a slow game, and that's what I love about it. I was telling Alex before we jumped on this podcast, I've been building my park up to a substantial place where it's keeping itself level. The dinosaurs are there, everybody's happy, and then I take a Jeep. I take a classic Jurassic Jeep, and I just drive from paddock to paddock, and I drive slowly, and I drive around my park, and I really pull in what I've built. And it's interesting because you see it from this God mode. You know, you're overlooking your park the whole time. When you're on the ground in the Jeep, you really are seeing all these brand new details. You're seeing it from the visitor's point of view, and that's what's really kind of exciting about this game is you're getting to live inside that park as well, providing you're in the Jeep. And I just drive around and fill up the paddocks and watch the dinosaurs, take a few pictures, and it's nice. Like it feels very Jurassic Park.
It would be cool as a virtual reality game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I could just do that, dive in, like you said, be slow, chillax, but then, like, have the ability to literally look up and see a brachiosaur. Or, you know...
Yeah.
Even when you're agitating the carnivores and they run around your Jeep and they're like, but they don't really do anything to you, except sometimes hit your Jeep and then you fly 1,000 yards and you're like, how'd that happen?
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I took my Jeep into I think it was the Dilophosaurus. I bred like 6 Dilophosaurus because they love being in packs. And I drove in there and I was racing away from the Dilophosaurs. And I was like, I gotta fill up their food quick, I don't want to get eaten. And then I stopped and they kind of just move around the Jeep a little bit and then you can just drive away. They don't actually attack. It would be cool if they attacked the cars, but I kind of understand why that wasn't an essential thing. At the end of the day, like, that would make it, you just have to keep buying new Jeeps, wouldn't you?
Or it'd be cool if, like, especially in there, you get like a dirty windshield of spit.
That would be cool. Wasn't that a thing in OpGen that your little tour vehicles could get like blown up by the dinosaurs? Like, they'd be just like old...
Yeah, and you'd have to fly the helicopter and rescue the people.
Oh yeah, with the little life thing. Oh man,
yeah.
See, that's one of the things I want them to change about this game, to sort of do something else with the people, because the people they don't really do anything. They just kind of are there. You know, they don't even open doors and.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that you can't charge how much entry is to the park. You could do that in Operation Genesis. You could choose how much money it was to get into Operation Genesis, into your park. I just find it interesting that you can't control that. You can close and open the park, but you can control the cost of everything else within the park.
Yeah, you can change the cost of your tater tots, but the price of admission is no.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But again, I don't have faults with the game. I think it's great. I would love a classic Jurassic skin. I want to go to Nublar and build Jurassic Park from 1993.
Please.
Yeah. I don't want no innovation center. I want my visitor center. I want to drop that down and feel proud of that and build a lake in front of it. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be.
But there's a lot more to come this year. I mean, there's so much Jurassic right now. Am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much to breathe in. There's an official book. There's the Evolution of Claire. There is a movie. There is so much more in the works.
It seems like every day something new. So, like, last night, Chronicle announced that they're going to make an official Barbasol can. Today, I think Amazon dropped like an audio game thing for Alexa or something like that.
It's everywhere right now, this movie.
Yeah.
And it's making its money. If you check out JurassicOutpost.com, you'll see a summary of all of the box office, pretty much. You'll see a summary of the 25th event. You'll see a summary of the movie. You'll see... So, if you're listening to this podcast and you feel like you want to vent to yourself about the movie, you want to talk about it, you want to share your review, head to Jurassic Outpost. There is a article on there where you can share your review in the comments. I think it's 70, 80 plus right now, people sharing and discussing each other's reviews of the movie. That seems to be a good place to share your review, and there's no limit on how much you can write, so get in there and write it up.
Yeah, it feels
struggling.
It feels so different this time, you guys. Like, we bashed Jurassic World in a way that was just like really, not necessarily harmful, but like, you know, the way we talked about it was clear how we felt about Jurassic, and it's just funny how now we're still just very much in like this limbo stage of Fallen Kingdom of like, is our opinion going to change a year from now where we're just going to be like, no, it's shit, it's absolute shit, or are we still going to be like,
my opinion
saying
changes
what
every
we
time
are
I
now?
watch it, so
Yeah, it's definitely setting itself apart, which is cool. I think that a lot of us are just still like taking that in for what it is, and like, which is fine. It's just, you know, maybe the way it could have been executed is, you know, arguable. But, you know, Jurassic World 3, I say bring it on. I'm very interested to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, let's see what Colin's going to bring to the table, because I definitely didn't expect him to return as director. So I'm curious as to what he is thinking about this one, what he's gonna do this time round, how he's gonna change it up.
yeah.
I'm curious. I really am curious. Is the movie gonna feel like Jurassic World, or is it gonna feel like Fallen Kingdom? Because they're very different movies. Or is it gonna feel like something different entirely from that?
Well, and Spielberg even said it's like the hardest part about this franchise is to make a movie that's completely different than the one before it, but still have it feel like every movie before it. And that's a daunting task for any director, I think, or writer.
Sequels are hard, guys.
But yeah, we're talking about Jurassic World or Jurassic 6, so like
Jurassics.
So
yeah, and I think that's one thing you can't take from Colin, is that he has revived this franchise. He is active and he's engaging, and this is something I've written. Where did I write
I love
this?
that.
I wrote this in some article somewhere on Jurassic Outpost about how Colin is still, after all this time, engaging with fans and listening to fans and talking with them on Twitter, and that is rare. That really is rare, and you can only credit him for that. We met him in LA. He was one of the nicest dudes I've ever met, and even if, you know, we have our issues with Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, and this is explained, you know, we've all said this ourselves as well online, is that we are kind of biased in that we grew up with the franchise and we have our own view of where it should go, so take everything we say, you know, don't take it to heart. But Colin is he's keeping this franchise afloat, and he's world building. There's so much more coming from this. You know, we wouldn't have a video game right now. We wouldn't have a book. There's a lot to indulge in, and even if the movie wasn't exactly for you, there is so much else. There's a lot of other places to get your Jurassic fix. Pretty much. You know,
and there's a lot to take away from this film as well. I still feel like there's a lot it contributed to, but yeah, we just have our opinions.
Yeah,
our opinions.
And I'm again very, very pleased that people are enjoying the movie. It's the same with Jurassic World. You know, people enjoying it is the one thing I'm glad to see. I'm glad not everybody is negative about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of interesting too. Like, we're in a time where the directors and writers of movies, especially Star Wars, are a little more outspoken with the fan reactions to their films, like the controversy with the actors and the harassment that they get. But not only that, like movies that the directors themselves are getting, or the flack that they're getting. And James Gunn said something, or there was a conversation. About how, like, opinion is one thing, but like we have to all remember as fans that these movies don't belong to us, and that it's gonna speak to a certain demographic, and it just might not be you. And no matter which movie comes out after this one, no matter how good it is, nothing can touch Jurassic Park and your love or asphyxiation or, you know, nostalgia for that film, or Jurassic or The Lost World. You know, nothing's gonna touch that. But
yeah,
you know, you can come to an area that, like, you know, gives you the feels or comes close, or, you know, is different but is still the same. And so, like, Fallen Kingdom does that in a lot of ways, but it's not perfect in my opinion. and like you said, Jack, I love where Colin's taking it, or not necessarily taking it. I love the revival. Dinosaurs are back. They've been around now for a few years since Jurassic World. It seems to just be something that everybody loves around the world. People just love dinosaurs, and
yeah,
I won't
and
stop.
people are happy this franchise is back.
Yeah, I won't stop seeing it. That's for sure. So,
absolutely, and I would highly advise pick up the 4K versions. I really would. They are exceptional, and after all this time, I don't actually get to watch Jurassic Park and Lost World often, and when I do, it's always like, oh my god, yes, this is why I love this franchise. This is what it's all about. So I would recommend that. But guys, it's been great speaking with you. Unless you have any further thoughts you want to bring up, there's probably a lot we have skipped over.
There's a lot happening. It's a big year, and it is a pretty good time to be a Jurassic fan. Like, even if you don't love everything, there's probably something for you. So maybe just like enjoy it while it's here, because
yes,
it can't last forever.
Yeah, it's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
There is so much to indulge with, and 5 years time, it could be quiet on the Jurassic front. You just don't know.
I do love I was walking in Target yesterday, and I love just kind of seeing like the giant T-Rex billboard and like even Jurassic clothing in the baby section and in the girls section for kids. Like, I remember seeing that stuff when I was a kid, and it hasn't really, like the merchandise, especially just kind of seeing that. It brings a smile, especially just, as a dad, I was like, oh, I almost want to get this. Like, my son, he's almost 8 months. He's 8 months now, actually, in a couple of days. And, I'm like, do I want to get this shirt for him? I'm like, no, I'll wait. But I love seeing that it's back in at least, some form or fashion. So, I mean, it's definitely here. And Jurassic Park is still relevant, like you said, 25 years. Still a lot to come out for this year. So, like, a lot of stuff to look forward to. Yeah.
Peace.
Agreed. But it's been great speaking with you guys. And if you're listening to the InGeneral podcast, check out JurassicOutpost.com and all of our social feeds for more information, things we've missed, things we haven't spoken about. I'll definitely check out the Japanese pop-up restaurants that are serving Jurassic World food. Oh my god, looks exceptional. You also get 3 lines of cocaine with one of the burgers, so there really is something. There's something for everyone.
Let's go.
Let's hit it. Anyway, we're off to Japan, the 3 of us. Nothing to do with the cocaine, I promise. So we'll, but yeah, we will hopefully speak soon and have Chris's opinion on this movie, as well as all of the other Outpost writers who have seen it from varying times. I think it's interesting as well because Alex and myself saw it much earlier than those in America, so we kind of bit our tongue a little bit with talking about it online, and I think just timeline wise for getting a podcast recorded has been difficult. I was ready on the 7th of June to record my thoughts, but I was like, we'll wait for everybody to see it, we'll wait for the world to see it, and the world other than Japan, am I right?
No,
has seen the movie.
I think it's out everywhere now. I think that's it, isn't it?
But it was July for Japan, was it not? It was July 3rd or something.
I thought the cast had just been to Japan, where they did that whole heart thing. Was that not Japan?
I think that was...
Or just the premiere?
For the release. Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong. But it's out worldwide now. Share your thoughts on our website. Share with us on Twitter. And yeah, I will catch you on the next one, guys.
Yeah. Sounds
Peace.
good.